This is the CronoPhone Windows Phone app. Let's start it up. This is the front page of the app, where you have the different options of the app, different parts of the app. Let's start with the calculator. Takes you into the first calculator, which is the speed conversion from FPS to meters per second, and the other way around also. Say we have perhaps 400 FPS, then we click down, then it converts it to meters per second, and also the other way around. So say we have 115 meters per second, click up and get it in FPS. The meters per second part, we can take that by via this button. You can use that button to take it over to the power part, where it can convert from meters per second to joules. So if you, for example, let's take it the whole way. Say we have 400 FPS. Click down to get it in meters per second. Click to power, and click down. Then we have it in joules. So 400 FPS with 0.2 grams BBs is 1.49 joules. Down here we can change it so that we have say 0.25 BBs at 1.4 joules. Going up, that will be 109 meters per second. Take that to speed, click up, that would give 358 FPS. So that's how you use the power and speed conversion. We also have a battery charge calculator, where you can calculate how many hours you need to charge your battery. Say if we have a 2000 huge battery, 2000 milliamps, and a very small charger, perhaps only 500 milliamps charger, then it has to charge for almost 5 hours. That's given that the charger is a standard charger with a loss of 20%. Let's say we have a more standard battery of 1100 milliamps and a decent charger with perhaps 800 milliamps, and then we would have to change for an hour and 40 minutes. So that's the battery charger calculator. We also have a gear ratio calculator, where you have the in part and out part of the gear. So the numbers in here is the number of teeth and on the gear, and the in is the one coming in from the previous gears, and the out is the out to the next gear. So the pinion gear, the gear from the motor, it's no input because it's driven directly, not through gears, but driven directly from the motor, so it doesn't have an in part, it only has an out part. The out part is the part touching the next gear. So on standard gear ratios of 18, we have 10 teeth on the pinion gear that touches the bevel gear, and the bevel gear has 30 teeth touching the pinion gear. So that's the input from the pinion, 30 gears touching the 10 out gears. Say we have perhaps we have a little bit torquier version where the pinion gear is 8 teeth, and well, that's not, the pinion gears don't usually change, so let's keep that. But bevel gears often the bevel gear has an output of perhaps 8. That would have a little bit more torquey gears. bevel gear, but usually it's probably the spur gear that changes the most. Maybe it has 25 out gears, something like that. Whatever. So all you do is you count the teeth of the outgoing part of the gear and the ingoing part of the gear. Enter the values for each gear. First starting with the pinion, then the bevel input from the pinion out to the spur, in spur from the bevel, spur out to the sector in, and of course the last part is the teeth touch of the sector out is the teeth touching the piston, so we don't need that. That's always the same. Doesn't change the ratio of rotation. So that's how you calculate the gear ratio. Swiping again, we go to the rate of fire estimating app. It's quite cool, quite new one I made. In here you have estimation of how many rounds per second your gun will be shooting. Let's say we, for example, has a standard gun with an M100 spring in it and EG Takimarui 700 motor on standard gears, and we will expect rounds per second around 13.5 rounds per second, and then we can kind of estimate the effects of changing the motor. For example, if we just change the motor to a system high speed, we increase the rounds per second quite drastically. Maybe we use a classic army high torque or whatever, and change the motor, see what effect that would have. We can also perhaps say we have an EG 1000 and we change the spring, we can see what decrease that will have in the rounds per seconds. And the last part is the gear ratio. You can also change the gear ratio. Say we have perhaps high speed gears with a gear ratio of 16. We'll have this 15 RPS and EG 1000, or perhaps if we change to the super speed, it doesn't really change that much because EG 1000 isn't that torquey. So, but if we maybe we took a super torquey motor like this system Magnum, then we can see on standard gears we get like 25, and if we change to perhaps super speed, increase it a hell of a lot. A little bit slower on normal high speed gears because it's a very torquey motor. So you can use this to change the to estimate the rounds per second you will get by upgrading your gun. Currently I don't have that many spring loads in here, but I will increase that in one of the next upgrades. But what you could do is you could perhaps you could go in and say, if you know that you have standard ratio gears, so you know you have an EG 1000 motor, say you know you have an RPS that's maybe a little bit higher, then you can go in and just lower the number, maybe instead lower the numbers. See, you have a, whoops, of course if you have a lower and you have then it means you have a higher resistance in the box, and then you can match that. So if you have more than let's say you have 130 and you know it shoots maybe it shoots 13, then you can change the value to match the current RPS, and then you can see the effect of changing the gear ratio, and you can see the effect of changing your motor. that way you can just enter, you can find your own gearbox resistance by using some known values, and then you don't have to wait for me to publish the next version. But I will be adding more gear ratios, gearbox resistance loads, more springs if you like, and I will also be adding more gears. And if you found your gear ratio over here, perhaps you counted these numbers, and you can say, so you know you have a gear ratio of 14.98, then you can go in and just change the gear ratio also, say perhaps 14 instead. And you can calculate and then you can estimate the rounds per second you will get by changing the motor, for example. So, yep, speed, power, charge, gear ratio, and rate of fire. That's the calculating part of the app. Going back to the front page again, we also have a guides section. Here we have a collection of guides and descriptions that helps you modify and change stuff in your gun. With, for example, an angle of engagement. Let's take that angle of engagement guide that tells you how to correct your angle of engagement, and with a lot of other stuff. For example, gearbox guide takes you through the steps of assembling, or you can also take it backwards and use it for disassembly, depending on what you want. I have a lot of guides in here. This will also be extended with time. And then we have rate of fire and velocity. Let's just quickly show velocity for this one needs some hardware. There's a how-to here. It describes how to make the hardware needed. Where you wire all this up, and you can build your own velocity gauge and use this app to get the calculated values. The rate of fire is another app. Uses the microphone to calculate the rate of fire. Let's try and shoot a bit, see if we can get a reading. So now you have a reading here. A gun, just shot the gun. Probably heard it on the mic, and the mic recorded all these shots. Each spike here is a shot. The red arrows indicate where the app thinks there is a shot. There's a little how-to also explaining how to interpret the values, and there's some settings in here also that where you can change some thresholds on when the mic should start pick up, and stuff like that. You can play around with it a bit. The how-to explains how you should how the graphs should look for good measurements. If you have good measurements, you should have equally spaced values with one red dot on each spike. So you can kind of see if by yourself that the calculated rounds per second is correct. Let's shoot it again. See, this time we have the 13 rounds per second. We had a single misfire, so it would only be 12 instead. This one, there's no white spike here, so this is a misreading. Misreadings is something that you if you go in here and you can increase the value from where the the sensor should start to pick up. So let's try 10,000. Do it again. That should increase the value. So you see now you have a nice reading where you have one red arrow, one red line on each spike. Each spike corresponds with a shot. So that's the way the app calculates the rate of fire. So by using the microphone on the gun, you can measure the rate of fire well, it uses the microphone on the phone, of course, and you can use that to measure the rate of fire. Last but not least, we have a link here to the homepage, AirsoftTech.dk. It's the online version of the app, and we also have here we have a lot of extra stuff. For example, we have some disassembly guides and stuff like that, where you can go and find your specific model. We also have the calculators and some more upgrade guides, stuff like that. So that's it. That's the description of the CronoPhone app for Windows Phone. It's a calculator where you can calculate speed to and from FPS and meters per second, power conversion to joules, charge time for batteries, gear ratios calculation, rate of fire estimation. It has a guides section where it has the most used guides, collection of guides and descriptions, and it has a rate of fire. Let's do it again, where it can estimate the rate of fire based on the microphone reading. So you just start the app and start shooting, and let the microphone read how many shots per second you get. Let's try that again. That was bad reading. What's better? 11 rounds per second with this. This is an AK-47 I'm shooting, basic one. Has how to do it guides also, so you don't get confused, and you can follow this guide also, and there's a link to the webpage. So that's it.